Okay, here we are, back and better than ever. We're going to do another mock draft today. Obviously, a lot has changed in the last week. A lot of good. How does that sound? So I thought, obviously, we're 2 weeks from tomorrow away from day one, round one, NFL draft. So let's do. I kind of got the settings here already. I'm kind of going in between because with this draft, I'm going to try and move up a little bit because I think that's a really, I don't want to say expected, but really good possibility that's going to happen. That Bean's going to move up from 28. So, all that being said, let's get in the draft here. So I'm going to be ready to hit pause where I think we potentially can move up. So, okay, all right. 9's a spot. I'm going to pause right here. I'm not going to do it here. I think the highest that we will go, and how about this draft so far? Jesus. Is 9 with Chicago. And that's only if Rome Odunze's there. I mean, I don't think Neighbors or Harrison Jr. will be there, but specifically for Odunze. So, this is interesting. So, Caleb, Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr., Neighbors, Odunze. So, boom, boom, boom. 3 receivers right there. That's, we don't want that as Bills fans, in my opinion, if you want to make this type of leap. You want, this to be a quarterback, potentially one of these two teams trading down for a quarterback that a team moving up like the Minnesota Vikings, who took Daniels at 11. I'd be shocked if Jaden Daniels is the 11th pick. But again, that happened last week, and I just don't understand why. But anyways, I'd be shocked if the Bears went with Brock Bowers at 9. But hey, whatever you got to do, Okay. So here we go. So to give you an idea, I really want to try and target anywhere between 17 and 20 is the move up. And I think 17 is really going to be the spot that I'm going to try and get to. So let me see if I can resume. Pause. Perfect. Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do. So back to last week, obviously. Brian Thomas Jr. is one of my top guys, if not my top guy with Xavier Legette. They're kind of, 1A, 1B, flip them, whatever you want to say. So while this is too high for Legette, I think that in league circles, if you will, they have Thomas much higher than Legette, and that's fine. So I'm going to go with Jacksonville to 28, and then I wonder if I throw in, see, here you go. So, you only have to move a first and a second to go up 10 picks. So if I move that second round pick that we got for Steph Diggs, I wonder if maybe I can get a third back this year. And that pick is going to be very valuable because teams, Minnesota, and again, they took Daniel, so who knows where they're going to finish. But my guess is that's going to be a top 50 pick. That won't do it there. So let's get the third. Let's see what they do here. It's more than a 50% chance to get accepted. So oh shit. Okay. All right. I hit the wrong button. But they didn't take him. So let's go with Cincinnati here, huh? Cincinnati. Give them this pick. See, they're not. 97. Okay. 97 is the comp pick where we should have been. I would take 97. Let's get funky here for a second. So let me get 115. And I'm going to give them back Green Bay's pick. Yeah, let's go 163. Let's see what happens here. Didn't take it. Let's do it again. Okay, so there we go. So 18, the no-brainer. And again, I could have let this play out. We were picking 28th, and PFF, their updated big board, has Brian Thomas as the 28th ranked player. As we know, Brandon Beane does not like to wait. So, and neither would I in this scenario. So I'm going to take Brian Thomas Jr. So here's this. Okay. So we're going to keep going. And we're going to pause here. So, okay. So here's my second. What I want to do is find another trade partner, maybe Atlanta at 43. And do a best case scenario for me at least. Let's hit this here. Oh, I passed him. That's okay. That's all right. We can go with Vegas here. So let's see who. Yeah, so we're going to go Vegas. We're going to give him 60. I'm going to give him Cincinnati's. So if I give him that third, I give him, that's a high price. And I wonder if I go 60, 115, and 133. You really don't want it, huh? Here's 204. There you go. So made this move. And again, I like Polk a lot, but I like Leggett a ton. Boom. So let's let this play out here. Xavier Worthy just went. That's funny. So are we, let's see here. We're at 97. So that's going to be at the end of the third round here. So that's a bonus, right? So we've moved up in back-to-back rounds, but we were able to get a pick in a round that we don't have a pick in currently, which, is huge. So 128 is obviously going to be the end of the fourth or near the end of the fourth, so we're going to hang on to those two. So let's make two picks here. Hall Jr. I think would be a decent player for us on the inside. Now we're getting into the level of where we're going to be in our previous pick. So let's do this here. Let's come up. Sion Vicky, potentially. For those safety fans out there, I think I'm going to take a D lineman. I'm going to take Hall Jr. because we need someone at D tackle. So let's keep going here through the fourth round. Edge has to be in the mind. Safety's going to be in the mind here. Potentially a running back. They probably, with how many picks I got coming up, I can wait for an offensive lineman. They'll certainly take one with one of these picks. So Braylon Allen, again, with the previous mock I did, I'm very high on him. I think he fits us perfectly. I like Christian Boyd a lot. We just took a D lineman, an interior D lineman. The edge guy here is going to be Kamara, Colorado State, 14 sacks last year. Again, how did we do? I don't know who this game was against. Washington State, good game. Really good, couple good games down the stretch. Not great competition, but see how they break down. 6'1", 250. So pros, he can really explode out of a low-loaded stance with a good pad level to fuel his preferred move, a bull rush. The cons are a lack of length, which make it more difficult for him to press offensive linemen in his bull rush. Strong player, though, and has a motor that is always running hot. We love motors. From New Jersey, so that's a potential there. And again, I'm 144. Does Braylon Allen make it to 144? I don't think so. So kind of look, who needs a running back? The Chargers, Vegas. I'm just going to do this. We're going to go Braylon Allen. And if Kamara's there here, then sure. See what happens. No, Kamara got taken the pick after us to Baltimore. So let's see what happens here. Okay. So tough spot here because you're reaching. It's the 5th round. We are very successful in this round. I believe we have 2 picks. Yeah, 2 picks in this round. So I want to use them both, right? I want to be able to hit another home run with one of these 5th round picks. What does that look like? Does that look like another D lineman? I mean, you can never have enough, right? Especially, there's really no edge guys per se, right? So I like Zinter a lot. It's kind of a reach. Me, Joe Milton, I took him in the 5th round last mock. Mustafa's I like him as a prospect. James Williams is a monster safety, huge, like 6'3", 2 something. 6'5", 215. Hello, I undercut him a little bit there. He might play some linebacker, depending where he goes. We're gonna go. So look at the guard position, right? So David Edwards obviously re-signed for 2 years. McGovern is entering the 2nd year of his 3-year contract at center. Obviously, Torrance is going to be the right guard for the next 3 years until he gets his next deal. I think Torrance is a 10 to 12-year player in this league, hopefully with us the entire time. Potential for some depth at the guard spot. I mean, I know they signed Clapp. That was a 1-year deal. They signed La'el Collins, 1-year deal. So is there any room even for a lineman on the roster right now? So that's another linebacker potentially might be a little bit of a sneaky need just because of, they got 3, right? So, well, 4 if you include Morrow, the free agent they got from Philadelphia. But obviously Bernard, Milano, and Williams. So tough spot here. Tough spot, but we're going to do it. We're going to do this here. Is that, you can never count out DB. Keelan King, not a huge fan. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take Mustafa here. Mustafa. And then we're going to hope that Joe Milton III is around when we pick at 160. And there he is. Bing bong. So, goes back to what I said in a previous video about, taking these quarterbacks 5th, 6th round, developing them, and who knows what they could turn into. I mean, they could turn into a 2nd, 3rd round pick if they're traded. It's another way to acquire talent, is by developing talent, shipping it off for higher picks, right? So, let's see here. Steel Chambers. Steely. I think he's more of a thumper. I like Hopper a lot here. Bortolini's a decent prospect at the center position. And again, this is just, we're taking stabs at this point. I mean, they're all stabs, but these are more blind stabs. I'm going to take Cohen. He can play both the guard and center position. If he makes it as a 9th lineman, 10th lineman, awesome. Um, last pick here coming up. 248. 248. I know it kind of sounds a little boring right now, but I'm going to obviously break it down once I get our full list in front of me here. All right, last pick. I've always been Kenny Logan Jr. to me is a good prospect. I just took a safety in Mustafa, but again, it's a position that Oladipo almost said, had a really good year. I know what's his face. God, I can't think of his name. Trapasso. Chris Trapasso is high on him. Especially as more of a box safety. 6'1", 217 here. Had a really good year last year. You see some of the games. Let's see here. Yeah, I like it. I like it. We're going to do it. Why not? It's the 7th round, right? See what they can get. Maybe he's the next Benford. You never know. So, great in the draft. What'd we get? Oh, I should have took a tackle. Sure, okay. B-. A lot of C's here in the middle rounds. Again, I reach for a bunch of these guys. I can do that with where my roster is. So, breaking it down, Brian Thomas Jr., 18th overall. We ship off, obviously, the 28th pick. The pick that we got for Diggs next year, Minnesota's 2nd-round pick, and a 5th-round pick this year. We picked up a 1, 3, and a 4 this year. Obviously, the 18th pick, 97 and 115. To date, Brian Thomas Jr. 2nd round, Xavier Legette. Again, this is my mock, so I'm going to do it how the players that I want. What is it realistic? I don't know. I have no idea. They took DN a couple years ago with Rousseau and Boogie Basham. So if they get to pick 44 and Xavier Legette's the highest guy on their board of any position, we've seen them do that and take back-to-back same positions. So moving up, however, obviously changes it a little bit, but again, I just think that they have to be ultra aggressive with this position this year because of where the position is on the roster currently. They can easily add 2 guys. Easily. And 2 high-end guys. High-end picks. To contribute right away. So that's why, again, Thomas Jr., you're talking about both your boundary guys. Legette can play inside, too. You can play him anywhere. He can punt if you wanted him to. Michael Hall Jr. is one of those pass-rushing interior guys. A little small on the smaller side. 6'1", like 290, 295. But that's kind of like the Ed Oliver build, right? So, and right now they really don't have, a younger 3-tech. Obviously, they brought back Daquan. They signed Austin Jackson there from the Chargers. Austin Johnson Jackson, starts with a J. He's more of a 1-tech, so definitely going to be some snaps for Hall to play right away. Braylon Allen, again, I just said it. I'm very high on him. I think he's exactly what we need in terms of the bigger back. I still love Ty Johnson, don't get me wrong. There's a spot for 3 running backs in this offense. They're going to run it probably the same as they ran it last year in terms of the amount. But he's a great change of pace back from what obviously Cook gives them. He's very good in pass pro. Can catch it too. So again, kind of an all-around back. Like it a lot. And then again, the next 4 picks, Mustafa, Milton, Cohen, Oladapo. I think all 4 of them have a good chance to make the roster, right? But at the same time, special teams for these safeties to start off. I don't think either of them are going to start right away, but Mike Edwards signed a 1-year deal. Rapp got the 3-year extension, which really is a 1-year. They can get out of it if they want to after this coming season. So, and I believe Hamlin's going to, see greener pastures in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania after this coming season. So, all in all, again, great haul. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 11 picks right now. So we trimmed that to 8, but at the same time, we've moved up twice, both in the first and second round, and still got a third round pick. So all in all, I think that this would be a really solid draft for Bean, for the team. It's really exactly what we need. Again, does it go this way? Who knows? That's why mocks are mocks, right? But I think it's kind of just getting a little not off topic, but shifting gears in terms of them knowing the importance of a rookie receiver in the first round that is under team control for 5 years is super critical. Super critical. This draft. It just is. Obviously, with them moving Diggs, it got bigger. But, again, it's one of those things that I go back to, not to make this about Diggs or, open that book back up. Because, truthfully, I was never not over it. I was thrilled at the moment it happened. Because if you've watched anything and heard anything that I've said for the last 3 months, that's what I would have done. So, what I don't think enough people are realizing when it comes to the trade is that they had a 4-year run. It's not like this was a failed experiment here. That we tried it for a year, or maybe even 2, and no, whatever. They had a 4-year run. A full 4 years. And it didn't... Did it work? It worked to an extent. Yeah, they were very successful in terms of winning games and, winning the division and winning playoff games. So, yeah, but at the end of the day, we all know that's not what it's about. So, I don't think, right, so Diggs and Gabe were the 4-year run here. They tried it. They put their eggs in their baskets at that position and said, these are going to be our 1 and 2 for 4 years, especially after Gabe's rookie year and certainly after the second year. Sure, they brought in those vets, those veterans, right? So like Gabe's rookie year, they still had Beasley. Obviously, the following year, they had an Emmanuel Sanders. So they still addressed the position, but their investments, if you will, were Diggs and Davis. And they got the results that they got. I'm not going to fault them for doing it that way. That's how they felt to have success, to help the team, to help their quarterback grow. Those were the two guys. Ultimately, they didn't accomplish the goal of winning a championship. So how long do you ride that wave for, is the question. How long do you just... Because before you know it, right? And it came to a point last week, essentially. Obviously, Davis signed with Jacksonville because his 4-year rookie contract was up. And they didn't bring him back and they weren't going to pay him $13 million a year. I don't blame them. I like Gabe Davis. He's not that type of receiver. Or at least he hasn't shown it to this point. Has he had moments? Sure. But at the same time, it would have been bad business if they moved on from Diggs next year. Because the dead cap hit would have been higher. They don't have the cap space that they now have going into next year. Right? So how about this? So they take a receiver in the first round. Who's to say that they can't sign a high-end receiver next year? That's a possibility because, again, they have the space to do it. So, kind of a little redundant here with some of the things that I've been saying, and I get it. But at the same time, I stick to what I believe and what I know. And what I believe and know is that the move that they made by trading Stefon Diggs was the right move at the right time. Whether you want to believe that or not, you're in your full right to disagree and say, no, I think that he should have been here for at least another year, or they, they could have done it a different way, or whatever the case might be. But at the end of the day, it's the move they made. He ain't coming back. Things aren't changing. They're not going back to what they were. So, my suggestion would be to look at this as an opportunity for this organization to better itself for the next 4 or 5 years. The same way we looked at it when they traded for Stefon Diggs 4 years ago. This was a move. They had good, solid receiver production before Steph got here. And they took it to the next level when they acquired him. So why can't it be the same way now? I get it. It's the unknown. You're drafting guys as opposed to trading for a known commodity. I totally get it. But if this league has shown us anything over the last handful of years, is that rookie receivers can make instant, huge impacts on teams. They can. From Jefferson to Chase to Jordan Addison last year, 10 touchdowns. The list goes on and on of these guys that come in and they're ready from day one. And they're not going to have a choice in the matter in terms of targets, right? They opened up 160 targets by trading away their number one receiver last week. 160. You're not going to distribute 160 between 3 guys, right? Dalton Kincaid's not all of a sudden going to get 160 targets, and Khalil Shakir's not going to be a 120 target receiver. It's not going to happen, right? I think that 110 to 120 mark is where Kincaid's going to fall. But this rookie is going to have anywhere between 70 to 110 targets. He just is. Accept that. It's not a bad thing. Especially with the guy who's targeting him. Any receiver, in my opinion, and I think of most, that plays with Josh Allen is going to be instantly better. Whether you're the 18th pick or whether you're the 248th pick. Instantly better. And the examples are very long. There's names out the ass that have had career years when they play with Josh Allen. Zay Jones, John Brown, Cole Beasley, fucking Bob Foster. Have you heard of Robert Foster's name in the last 4 years? You haven't. Gee, wonder why. Not a knock on Bobby. But let's just face reality here. When you play with one of, if not the best quarterback in the league, you go up a notch, if not notches. So I believe that Brian Thomas Jr. and Xavier Legette, to put a nice little bow right on top of this, they would instantly become one of the best receiver tandems in the league because of who they have throwing in the football. And both of those guys offer exactly what this team needs. Whether you're 6'4", 210 and run a 4.37, or whether you're 6'1", 6'2", 227 pounds and run a 4.39, and can line up both, you name it. That's what makes this team better. That's what gets this team over the hump, past the divisional round, back to a conference championship, and ultimately, obviously, to the big one. And getting over the hump of Kansas City. Because again, I just said bow on top, but I'm going to go for a little bit longer here because I'm rolling. Something that no one has brought, I shouldn't say no one, I've seen it places, but none of the people that I talk to have brought up. I'm the only one that's doing it, and I think it's hysterical. I think it's very convenient that people are leaving this out, is that there is nothing that nobody can say that Stefon Diggs did not elevate his game in the playoffs the last 3 years. He had a good game against Miami 2 years ago. And that's it. Out of the amount of playoff games that we've had. And if you make him out to be what he was, because I think was, you think is, what he is as a top, give me the number, 3, 5, 7, 10 receiver in the league, making the amount of money he's making, being a team captain, and all this I'm him shit, he wasn't when it mattered most. And maybe we're not in this position if he showed up in those games. If he comes down with fourth quarter catches. Maybe. Just maybe. That's it. So be upset. Be mad. Be, I can't believe it still, yada, yada, yada. You're in your full right to do that. But, in my opinion, all that anger that's directed at everybody else, when you're pointing fingers, as they say, 3 are pointing back at you. And the 3 that are pointing back at you are pointing back at Diggs. Because he's a huge part of the reason as to why he himself got traded. And that is fact. And if you deny that, you're a fool. That's it. That's all I got. Great mock. Brian Thomas Jr., Xavier Legette, Michael Hall Jr., couple of juniors, Braylon Allen, Malik Mustafa, Joe Milton III, Javion Cohen, and Keaton Oladapo. Good name. Like that name. Oladapo. Big O. KO. Knockout. Like it. Maybe. Who knows? We're going to do another one next week. This was done on Wednesday, April 10th, so we'll do another one next Wednesday. And then we'll do another one the following Wednesday, the day before the first round of the NFL Draft. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking me out and listening. And we'll catch you next week. Go Bills.